That's all I knew. Yeah, that's all I heard about it in the media or whatever. So I just knew. My dad told me this story. Of course, he said, he dropped, and they had to intubate him. So they basically had to put forced air into his mouth because he was. They said he was dead. He stopped breathing and everything. So they intubated him, and they literally were going to have to airlift him to Pennsylvania because they weren't certain if the hyperbaric chamber was open at that moment in Brooklyn. Now, if they had to airlift him or if they had to get him to Pennsylvania, he would have been dead. There's no way he would have made it. So, luckily, the hyperbaric chamber in New York at the time was available. So it was available, and the governor at the time, Cuomo, was the one who funded to keep it open. The city wanted to get rid of it because it was very expensive. So, Governor Cuomo at the time, Mario Cuomo, the old man that is, the old man.
Right.
Not this new dude.
Not the new
So
one.
the old man. Yeah, the grandpa, the father, the old guy. He's the one who kept it open. My father was able to get, rushed there by ambulance. They put him in the hyperbaric chamber. They called a priest. They called my mother. My mother came down. They said, it don't look good. You need to come here. And from what I remember, my mom just said she obviously was very upset. Went down there, and they brought a priest in to read my father's last rites, basically. And then they said somehow he made it through, So that's just incredible. They said literally he was dead to he just, came to, and he lived through it somehow. So they said the percentage, I can't give you the exact percentage, but just say the normal percentage of carbon dioxide that you can have in you. Just say, I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
So you could handle, just say 1% of carbon dioxide, and then you're basically dead. Whatever the amount is, I'm not sure that exact amount. My father had, just say it was 1%. My father was going near a 10%. Okay.
Oh my.
So whatever the amount was, it was not. He should not have lived. The guys that were there were like, dude, there's no way. The doctors, the people I talked to, the priest, everyone that I talked to after this told me he was dead, man. They thought, no way. If they're calling a priest in, it ain't good, man.
It's not good.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how much carbon dioxide you can take in, but it's obviously quite harmful.
Yeah, there's whatever it is. I don't know if the limits change. It's not much that you can take in. So say it's even 0.5%, whatever it is, his was through the roof, man. So, however, though, they're not going to give up. So he told me, he said, Andrew, I hear everything around me that happened. He said, I heard everything. He goes, I just couldn't see anyone. He goes, but I heard everything. He remembers everything. Being transported, my mom being there, going in the hyperbaric chamber, people talking. He said he just couldn't say anything to anyone, but he knew what was going on.
So he knew what. So he knew what.
Yeah, like consciously. Okay. Yeah. So like, if you asked him today, he would, whatever his memory is now. But what he told me, he said, Andrew, I heard everything that was going on. He goes, I thought I was like dreaming, because I couldn't see anything. So it kind of reminded me of the Metallica song and video from One.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, holy shit, darkness imprisoning me. I cannot see that. I'm like, whenever I see that video, I'm like, wow, man, that's a crazy thought to think someone went through that I know. Like, that's real stuff, bro.
That's a crazy way to go. I mean, that's a crazy way to go, And some people did go that way. They were buried in rubble, and that's how they died.
Yeah. Oh my God! So
damn, your dad's lucky.
You're talking, and Michael, remember this is in 1980, 8 or whatever. I was young, bro. This is going way back.
Yep.
So, or around in 1990, I forget I was in 5th grade, man. So whatever it was, around 1990. So my dad makes it through. The next day they bring us to the hospital. I remember going to the hospital. I remember seeing a priest. He was like, hey, man, and it was Father Judge. Now, Father Judge, Michael Judge, there's a famous photo going around from 9/11 of them bringing out the FDNY chaplain. He's dead. Now, I don't know why someone would want to take that photo. It's sick. The guy's dead, man. They got him. They're carrying him out. He's dead. This is, it's a famous thing. You could see the FDNY chaplain. They have him in a chair. They bring him out of the rubble. I met him, and he was one of the first people to come forward that
Mm-hmm.
he was gay. And that was a huge thing, as it is, and it was a huge thing for a priest.
Yeah.
So I met him. He was lovely. At that moment, I didn't know he was gay. I could care less whether he's gay or not.
Sure.
That's irrelevant. The guy was a great person. He was there for me and my family during a tough time. I was a little kid, I didn't know anything else. I just remember sitting with him, and he's like, "Hey, Andrew, let's go eat." And we sat in the cafeteria. We ate breakfast. I didn't know the extent at that moment of what was going on, So I just remember going in and seeing my dad in the hospital. He was a little out of it, but he was conscious. He's alert. He's just like, "Yeah, I just had a bad fall," and that's all he said. And like, all right. And literally, like 2 months later, Mario Cuomo, the grandpa, the old man, the old guy from New York, the old school guy, I believe he was the mayor of New York or whatever, or governor, whatever he was at the time. He comes to my home. He shows up at my home with a film crew, and they sat and they filmed a commercial with me and my family. I didn't know what was going on. I just remember they said, "Yes, someone's going to come here, this guy Mario, and they're going to film a commercial with us. Just talk about, just answer whatever they say." And they just wanted to take a picture of me playing basketball in the backyard with my brother. We just introduced ourselves. What it was, Cuomo was running for re-election.
Yeah.
So they asked if my mom and me, and my brother, if we wouldn't mind going on camera to do a commercial for his re-election, because he was the one that kept the funding for the hyperbaric chamber.
Ah, I see.
So, of course, my mom was like, "Yeah," and my dad was like, "Yeah, no problem." Yeah, my dad's alive because of that thing. You got it. Whatever you need, man. So we're not political. So it was like, but whatever. You know what I mean? The guy wants to come, and
sure.
No problem. So I don't know how I'd find it. I'd love to find it. We had it on VHS back in the day, but there's some tape out there of me, my family, my mom talking about whatever, the incident, whatever happened. I don't know. It's probably circulating. I can find it somehow.
It's out there.
It's got to be. Yeah, man. With technology, I'm sure someone on your show is Googling it. Maybe they can find it. That'd be, it'd be a little upsetting, but it'd be cool to see, man. I don't forget that. That was
somebody has it. We'll find it.
And we'll find it, exactly.
Eventually.
So I can tell you this, man. I went through that as a kid, right? I saw my dad go through that, almost dying. Went back to work. He just told me that he was a little more alert when he went back. He just said, I would think a little bit more about my kids and my wife before I went that extra mile. He goes, because, I almost died. So he goes, same thing. If you ever become a fireman, you want to think, you know what I mean? You're going to be young. You're going to be full of piss and vinegar. But you got to think, man, I got a wife. I got kids. Just slow down. Slow down sometimes, because you need that extra breath, that extra step before you just dive into the inferno. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right. Like, at that age, a young kid, I'm like, all right, whatever that means. Well, my uncle Jerry Lambert, he got on the fire department in the 50s, okay? And he worked in Ladder 102. My dad met Uncle Jerry through marriage. Uncle Jerry married my Aunt Barbara. And my dad used to go with Uncle Jerry to the firehouse. That's how my dad found out about the FDNY. And I remember as a little kid, Uncle Jerry going to work. And then I remember my dad going to work and talking about the firehouse and things like that. And from a young age, my mom has photos. There's pictures of me and Santa Claus at the firehouse Christmas party from 1981, 1982, man. I mean, just amazing memories, like I loved being with the guys. I loved being at the firehouse. Even when I was 5, 6, man, I sent you a picture of me wearing my dad's coat.
Right.
And the bunker coat is longer than me. The gear they wear was longer than me. I was only 5, and I love going to work because they used to let me ride up front. So I would ride up front next to the officer. I would share the seat, and they would let me hit the lights and sirens on the way to fires. It was amazing for a little kid. Oh, my God.
That's incredible.
What more do you want?
Yeah.
So I always had that in my mind. Oh, I'd like to do that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let's see how the cards align.
So that's what happened, basically. Yeah. All this influence you had with your dad, and you felt this connection. You loved what he was doing, and you were already visiting this place while you were young. So that pretty much planted the seed in your head for the future, what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it's always a possibility with the fire department. I was always told, you take the test, and then you wait. You don't wait for them to call you. If they call you, they call you. If you pass, you pass. If you don't, you don't. But you got to have a backup plan. You don't do nothing and sit and wait, because I'm glad I didn't wait, because I took the FDNY test in like 2000, and it took 6 years for me to get hired. So,
whoa.
And Michael, that's with getting 100. I got 100. So you don't sit around and do nothing. You know, you obviously in the meantime. So at that moment when 9/11 struck, like I said, I was living out in the Hamptons. I was a union electrician. That morning, I went to get breakfast. I said, I'll be right back, bro. We usually get coffee around 8:30, 8:45. So I get in my car. I don't have a cell phone. You know, I just got in my car. I turn on the radio. I order egg sandwiches at the deli. I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to Howard Stern.
Ah, okay.
Because that's what was on.
Sure.
You know, that was on in my car. It was on in every radio station out in the Hamptons. They just had Stern on. So I'm sitting there, and I hear him saying, a plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. So I'm thinking, this is a joke, right? Because it's Howard Stern.
You thought he was joking around. Sure.
Yeah, he's like, you know, maybe somebody called in and pranked him.
That's crazy that you were listening to Stern. That's how you discovered 9/11, first hearing about it. Wow.
So, yeah, we would listen to Howard Stern in the morning around coffee time. You know, union electricians, so mostly guys at that time. We'd listen to Stern all day on the job site, you know, or most of the day, whatever he was on. You know, it was funny. So we just, whatever. Like I said, I'm in the deli, literally, I'm in the deli ordering my sandwiches, and I hear him saying this. So I'm like, I look at the deli clerk. I go, did that really happen, bro? And he goes, hold on, let me put on 10-10 wins, like just to make sure. And bang, he puts it on and report. Bang,
there
on
it is.
10-10 wins. There it is. So I was like, oh my God. So the food was done. I grabbed the food, jump in my car. Howard Stern's on the radio. I race back to the job site, which is only like 2 minutes away. And I give the guy the food. I said, bro, I got to go. I got to get home. I need to call my father. I didn't know if he was working. I didn't know if he wasn't working. I didn't know anything, but I didn't have a phone. So I said, all right, let me track down a phone. So I raced home to my mansion. I didn't own it, okay, but I literally lived. I'll send you a picture of it. You can put it on the website. It was gorgeous, bro. So I raced home to this mansion, and a couple of my this is even wilder, right? So my roommates, right, who I live with. You ever heard of that movie Boiler Room?
I believe so, yeah, actually.
There was a movie made about these guys on the stock market. Vince Vaughn's in it.
Yeah, that movie.
And there was a company, Stearns and Foster, something like that. Sterling Foster, whatever the name was. There was guys that scheme people. They rob people with fake stocks, right? And then they got caught, of course, and they all went to jail. Well, I didn't know anyone. I just moved into this mansion, right? Because my best friend, Nick, I grew up with, he was house sitting. Well, around the summertime, all of a sudden, these dudes, that's how it works in the Hamptons, guys move in. Summertime, people come in. We don't know anyone, right? We don't know anyone that's in there. And as we get talking to people as the summer's going on, I don't know them. They just told me, oh, yeah, we work on Wall Street. All right, whatever. I don't have a cell phone. There's no Googling. I'm not, looking.
Yeah, you can't look it up.
Who these guys are. Yeah, I could care less, bro. I'm working, man. I'm just a working guy, and we're going to work every day. You do your thing, I do mine. That's it. Well, I found out, eventually, the guys I was living with, some of them were played in that movie. Like, they were the real-life guys from that movie Boiler Room. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that they had schemed people of all this. I had no idea, man. They were going to federal prison, literally. I don't know when, but they had their sentencings and everything, and they were like, "Oh, yeah." So it was a little, I found out it was like this. It didn't matter at that point. I was just like, "Whatever, man. I'm renting a room. I don't care, bro. Whatever. Like you do, you got to do it." So I go home, and my roommates are home. They're all home. We lived in a mansion, bro, so we had 8 bedrooms. So it wasn't just them. There was a couple guys that worked on Wall Street, and then there were just regular dudes. I lived with a chef. I lived with a couple girls that were, dancers, okay? They were dancers.
They were entertainers of sorts.
And then I lived, yeah, they were in the entertainment business. Loved them with all my heart, man. They were like my sisters. The people in my house love them to death, man. We were like you become family. You get to know certain people and you connect with them. And the girls in my house, man, we were real tight, and we were like family, man.
So everybody was
and
cool there, yeah.
going through this, bro, going through this 9/11 thing, so I'll tell you, this is how it happens. I get home, I pull in the driveway. I lived in a long driveway. It was probably 50 feet long, literally huge. So, because you got to fit like 20 cars when people come over your house in the Hamptons. So I'm driving down this giant driveway, man. My pulse rate is through the roof. I'm sweating. I'm anxious. I had a feeling, right? Oh my God, is my dad okay? I know he's there. I didn't even talk to him. I didn't know if he was working. I knew he was there. I knew.
Damn.
But I did not have a feeling that he was dead. I don't know what that would feel like. You know what I mean? But something told me he's there.
He's alive.
He's okay.
Okay.
Now, maybe, now at this point, I want to be clear. I'm not doing psychic readings. I'm not contacting UFOs every day. I'm just a regular working dude, bro. Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about aliens with my roommate. Nothing like
your
that.
Mind wasn't even, your mind wasn't even at this stage in this
there,
point.
Man.
Yes.
If it was today, it'd be different. But it was just like, oh my God, I have to call my mother and my dad to make sure they're okay. That's it. And my brother, is everyone okay? Because when my brother at the time, he was a New York City school teacher. So, of course, I don't know where he is in connection to this attack, and you just want to make sure he's okay. My mom, New York City school teacher, same thing. Is she okay? Is she safe? My parents lived close to the city, but now I'm hearing on the way, oh my God, there's other planes that are out there, and there's bomb threats. And people don't know this, Michael, but I was a union electrician. What they had us do, as soon as the attacks happened, they had the electricians. We drove to Queens, so the border of New York City, and they had the electricians setting up mass injury/casualty stations.
Interesting. I did not know that at all.
So at first, they thought we were going to have thousands of injuries, not thousands of deaths. When this first happened, they thought, oh, people are going to live. Like, they're just going to be really hurt. You know what I mean? People are going to come out of the building. It's not going to fall. They'll just be really hurt. We need to help people. And they wanted to get people away from New York City once they fell, obviously. Everyone had to get out of the city. So just outside the city is Queens. So right there, we went and set up these mass injury stations. Didn't end up using it because everyone died. But, so these stations are getting set up, right? I pull down my driveway, and I pull up. I go in the house, and we had a giant, like, 70-inch flat-screen TV in the living room. This is before they were flat back panel, but just the old flat screen TV with the
old
backing,
school ones.
You know those?
I recall.
Yeah, man, real old school. So I get in the living room and I see the tower fall. I was like, "Whoa, holy shit!" So I grab the phone, I call the firehouse. I know he's there. I know he's at the World Trade Center. So my dad worked in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. So I knew he wasn't going to be in the firehouse. I called the firehouse. I said, "Hey, as soon as the guy picked up, it wasn't someone that worked at my dad's firehouse. It was, so what happens is when you get sent to a fire or somewhere else, they'll sometimes, if they have the manpower, they'll for example, they'll take fire units from other locations and relocate them to the busy areas. So just in case another fire comes in, they have to have someone covering the area. So on 9/11, Michael, it was so bad that they had volunteer companies from Long Island and Pennsylvania, or they literally said anyone, anywhere that's a volunteer, just come. They were putting them in New York City firehouses temporarily, just because they had no one. Everyone was at the World Trade Center. It was all hands. So I call the firehouse. I don't know who it is. He goes, no, they're relocated to Manhattan. And my heart sunk. Fucking fell on the floor, man. I go, oh my God. Now, like I said, I didn't think he was dead, of course. Maybe I didn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to think that. I didn't want to have that in my mind. I just kept telling myself, though, literally, he's okay. I'm going to hear from him. He's okay. So I call my mom. She goes, I haven't heard from him. I'll call you as soon as I hear anything.
Damn.
We just were like, keep it simple, man. We don't know. He'll be fine. We'll hear from him. But, of course, I'm worried sick now for my mom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Me, my brother, thinking, oh my God, he should have. I believe my dad's 20th year anniversary was on September 9th. So he could have retired 2 days before this whole thing. You know, like, so all the stuff's going through your mind. He hit his 20th year like 2 days before 9/11.
That's crazy, man.
So you're thinking, he didn't even have to go through, like, he didn't even have to be there, man. Crap. Oh my God. What's going on? So a girl that lived in my home, right? There were multiple people, like I said, that lived there. And we had multiple friends. And we had neighbors. And people that were very wealthy, obviously, because you live on the beach in a mansion, you have wealthy people that live in the area. That's just how it goes, whatever. And you have regular people like myself, blue-collar, hardworking people, construction workers, whatever. Well, there was a lady in my house, and I did not know this because she didn't say it until this day, but she goes, listen, guys, she goes, my husband's an agent. He's a federal agent. And we go, okay. She goes, I just got off the phone with him. What he said, okay, and this is before we knew anything about anything. We just saw the buildings crash. I didn't talk to my dad. Was sitting there waiting now for anything, right? Give us something. This girl comes in that we know. Like, we all know her in the house. She goes, my husband's an agent. I just got off the phone with him, okay? He said, this is from him, okay? He said that there were guys on the flight, what I heard, of course, the New York flight. There were guys, when the flight took off, that had supposedly, you know, red bands around their head, whatever that means. They have red bands around their head. And she said that they were praying to Allah and they were decapitating people with swords.
Well, that's pretty outrageous.
Yes. Now, how do you get a sword on a plane? That beats the heck out of me, man.
I've never heard that before. That sounds crazy, though. Holy shit.
And like I said, I've never spoke about this, man. Never. I'm just relaying to you what was told to me on that day. I don't have any proof of that. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that reported. This is a lady I live with, who I know, and her husband is an FBI agent. I know that. And she said, I just got to phone my husband. This is what he said. So we're all looking at each other like, what? And at the same time, we're watching the news and we're hearing that and she also said that there were dozens of flights that this was about to happen. They landed several other flights that, some didn't even take off. Some were just about to take off. They said this was attempted on several other flights. So she said this thing was going to be much bigger than it actually was. But they got intel, whatever. They shut it down. I don't know. Whatever they did, they stopped flights. I don't know. So I'm here that I go, oh my God, man, we got a real problem on our hands. If this is true, I don't know what really is going on, but that's pretty bizarre and that's awful and that's frightening, man. If that really is happening, swords? They got swords on a plane? What the heck, man? So,
my God.
Now, a couple hours go by, so this goes on around 9 a.m., right? We're watching this stuff happen. Around 1, 2 in the afternoon, finally, I got a call from my dad directly.
Oh, finally.
Now, this is 5 hours later, 6 hours later, whatever, like a long time, bro, from when it happened till 2, 1 in the afternoon, whatever. That's a long time to wait. You know what I mean? And you're sitting by the TV, like shaking, man. You don't know what's going on.
I would have thought my dad was dead by then. Holy shit.
Right, and then of course you have the fire commissioner come on, and he, or whoever, and he goes, "I have over 300 guys that we lost already." I go, "Whoa, what does that mean, lost? Like we don't know where they are? Are they dead? Or?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's got to be fine." I just kept telling myself that. That's all I could do. You know what else am I going to do until I get confirmation of something? So I'm watching. He calls me. He's like, "I'm okay, bro. I'm using a friend's cell phone. I got to go." I said, "No problem." I mean, by this point, Michael, both towers had fell. You know what I mean? Yeah. The insanity happened. So everyone asks, what happened with your dad that day? Well, when this happened, when the first plane hit, in my dad's firehouse, there's an engine and there's a ladder. Yeah. So the engine got sent first, engine 209. They went over the Brooklyn Bridge. Then, when this happened, my dad, he usually works till 9 a.m. That's when the shift changes. For some reason, that morning, around 8:30, before all this happened, a guy was in there to work, and he goes, "Oh, Richie, man, why don't you just go home?" He goes, "I got you, man. I'll drive." And my dad's like, "All right, yeah, whatever, you got it, man. You got the wheel." So somebody else now is driving. My dad's not driving. he said he's just hanging out, and then all of a sudden, the plane crashes. So they go to the roof of the firehouse in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, on Bedford Avenue, and they're looking at the World Trade Center. They could see it. They could see it on fire, and they're thinking, how are we going to put that out? Like, that's crazy, like, holy crap, man.
Absolutely.
He said they're looking at it, and they see the second plane crash into it, or whatever did.
Yeah.
The hologram, the missile, dude, I don't know. Whatever hit it. From what he saw from his distance, they saw a plane hit it, something crashed into it. They looked at each other, and now they just jumped on the truck. My dad is not driving now, okay? So he's in the back.
Right.
So you have guys that are coming into work to start at 9, and then you had guys that were still at work that just got relieved. So a lot of guys that died that day were not even working. They just got off, and guys just came in. And of course, a fireman's nature, man, you're there to help. So if you can help, guys just jumped on the truck. So some companies had like 10 or 12 guys there when they normally had 5.
I see.
And
yeah.
So the numbers that were there were bigger than normal because that's right at the shift change. And believe me, that was all, I think, that was all planned and coordinated because they knew that stuff too. They knew that it would be a little chaotic and hard.
It was going to be a shit show to get everybody there.
Yeah. And then to find people out, who's missing, who's not, who's there, who wasn't,
That's wild.
They knew it would be horrible. And not everyone had a radio. So guys couldn't communicate, are you okay? Back then, the officer and like one fireman, I think, had a radio. So the other guys, a lot of guys were missing or trapped or whatever. They couldn't call for help because they had no way to.
Damn.
So my dad's engine company, I said, 209, right?
Knowing that really quickly here, knowing that little fact, that sounds premeditated. Like someone somewhere knew that would happen. Not to get too conspiratorial right away, but I'm just saying that sounds almost,
just to be straightforward, it would be common sense if they could look and see, okay, when did the police change tours? When did the firemen change tours? Oh, 900? And that, it's the start of the school day. That's the start of the work day. That's a real big time around 9 a.m. So to do something at that time would be very chaotic, because people are coming and going. And so, that could cause confusion. And like I said, my dad, they have the engine and the truck. The engine goes over the Brooklyn Bridge. So they get over the bridge. My dad's ladder company, they go to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. And they're told you can't go through because there's a bomb threat.
A bomb threat, yeah. There were bomb threats that morning.
Yes, they called in bomb threats to every tunnel. Why? Now the firemen and cops can't go through. So that's a big problem. So now you had even less help than you needed. You know what I mean? So they're there, and now my dad's telling me, as this is going on, they're screaming and cursing at the driver to go crash down the barricade and drive through. And he said, I can't. He goes, the computer says you have to stay at the tunnel. Do not go through. You don't have authorization because there's a bomb threat. Like, he didn't want to, obviously, the cops are right there, too, saying, no. You can't go through, man. He didn't want to cause panic to a panic situation already. So the first tower falls, and they say, okay, you guys can walk through. Bro, you're talking about a fucking 2-mile walk, okay, in your firefighting stuff.
That's a long walk, by the way, with very heavy equipment for those that don't know.
Just so people can equate that, I weighed, when I got on the fire department, probably around 150 pounds, somewhere around there. The equipment is over 100 pounds.
Exactly, it's heavy.
Just the pants and the coat is like 80 pounds, bro, without tools. And then your tools, and you're probably taking rescue tools to, because people are trapped and getting out. So, oh my God. And the truck is on the other side of the tunnel, so you don't want to have to go back. So
no, of course
you're
not.
Taking everything,
God damn.
bro. Like everything. So it's eerie because there's videos out there from 9/11 of firemen walking through the tunnel.
I recall. That
never made it out, bro. That never made it back.
And
when.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. So my dad is walking through the tunnel, right? And he said to me, we walk out of the tunnel, and it's like a Hollywood movie, man. There's smoke, there's dust, there's silence. There's no communication on the radio. He goes, it was weird. It was like I was here, but I wasn't. Now, as this is happening, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, the engine company got there first. They get there, and as they're walking to the tower to go in, someone jumped from one of the buildings. I don't know what floor, but someone jumped and unfortunately hit another fireman from another house.
Oh, shit.
So this guy, it's a known story. The guy's name is Danny Sir. He was an Engine 216. Danny Sir was walking with the guys from my dad's engine company because they guys all know each other. So guys stay together. They're just walking together, walking there. Someone jumps and hits, and he didn't know at the time, but he killed Danny. He crushed, whatever, hit him. So they're trying to revive him because they don't know he's dead. They're like, all right, we'll try to save him. So as they're working on Danny, of course, other firemen see this. Of course, what do guys do? Guys come around. They try to help a fireman, of course. You got to save your own first, man, to make sure you can go help people, of course. So they're trying to revive him. As that happens, Michael, the tower fell. So that one guy, Danny Sir, he probably saved the life of, 20 firemen at least, because when he got hit, guys were trying to help him revive, and they picked him up. They moved him to a safe spot to work on him. So it's just weird how things happen or didn't happen, how guys died and didn't die that day. And my dad works in an area of Bed-Stuy. It's very busy, bro, like extremely busy. Very, very busy with fires, emergencies. On that day of 9/11, unfortunately, every single company in the area, every single company except my dad's firehouse, every other house lost guys that day.
Man.
Most of the companies lost every guy that day, even
That's
guys
crazy.
that weren't even on duty.
Yeah, that's...
But for some reason, I don't know. I don't say to people, oh, it's divine intervention, it's God, it's Satan, bro, I don't have any of those answers, bro. I have no clue. All I know is, like, at this moment, when this happened, I was just trying to be very practical. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they're alive. I don't know why, but they're alive. But it was a weird feeling for my dad to, with the survivor's guilt and everything else, and the guys who worked with, wow, why us? Why? I don't know.
Yeah, so it really affected your dad, obviously.
I'm sure, man. I mean, I can't imagine to the extent the guys that were there. I'll just tell you another little story, too, because we're on that topic. So I worked with another guy, right? A really nice guy. He was an officer. And that day, he had 4 guys with him. And he goes, okay, you two stay with me. We're going to go to the command post and find out what we're doing. You two, the other 2 guys, go to the lobby and just stay there. And I'll be right there, and we'll go to what floor, whatever we're going to do. He goes, I'll be right back. He goes to the command post to find out what they're doing. Boom, the tower falls. So that officer, unfortunately, felt like he sent the other 2 guys in his company to their death.
To die, exactly.
Yeah,
I probably feel that way too.
He did not do that on purpose.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Because no one thought the thing was going to fall. Nobody.
No, of course not. That's another thing we'll get around to here in a moment. But yes, no one initially thought the building was going to go down.
A guy I consider my uncle, Billy McGovern. He was a chief at the time down in Manhattan. William McGovern. People can look him up, man. I grew up with the guy. He worked with my dad when I was a kid. He was like an uncle to me, man. We went on camping trips together. We shared great times. Kids, family, friends. It was great growing up, man, around the firehouse. Even through bad times, you know what I mean? You had people that loved you, that would always look out for you. If you had a flat tire or your house is flooded or something happened, you'd have 20 firemen at your house. They just show up, man. What do you need? They can never do enough. You know what I mean? That's how firemen are. They can never do enough. Most of them, they could just never do enough, especially when something bad happens, bro. Everyone goes. Everyone's there. Everyone wants to help. And a day like that, you know what I mean? It was so messed up where, what are you going to do, man? Now the tower, they fell, right? And guys were digging, right? Literally on their hands and knees. And then you would take turns. So you'd go to the firehouse for like your shift, right? So it was 24 hours in the firehouse. And then you get off. You don't come back for like a day. Well, in your off time, my dad and the guys he worked with, they went down to the World Trade Center on their days off, and they were digging, bro, until they told them they weren't allowed down there because, now the air's not good after, 6 months or a year. What, are you kidding me? Come on. What a load of crap that was. Oh, now the air's not safe. They knew that from day one, bro. Come on. I know that because a guy I know, a fireman, his brother worked for the Department of Health. And the day it happened, he came up to the guys in the firehouse with his meters. Like, they have meters that read the air quality. And he showed him. He goes, dude, this is the air quality, man. And let me tell you, whatever they registered, asbestos and all the other crap in the air, the levels were through the roof, man. But they had guys trapped in there. So you would have had firemen in that rubble digging no matter what, man. It wouldn't have mattered. Guys would have been in there helping. But knowing what we know, maybe they would have taken safer precautions. You know what I mean? Maybe they would have been wearing masks more. So a lot of guys got sick, as you know, over the years.
All kinds of cancer.
Developed 9/11 shit. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Like I said, I'm talking to you about this because my uncle just passed a few months ago. My uncle Pete, man.
Rest in
peace. No secret. Yeah. There's no secret, man. He was down there with the NYPD, and I'll just tell you a little bit. There's pictures of him out there, too, on the pile. There's no jokes. Whatever. It is what it is. I didn't talk about this when he was alive because I didn't want to get into it, but he went to the doctors over the years because he didn't feel right. Like, had the cough, that whatever 9/11 cough.
Yes.
And he also had some other health issues. The doctor told him, you have something that other guys that were down at the World Trade Center have. We don't even have a name for it. We don't know what it is.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
To be told something like that, holy shit.
Yeah, this is something people don't know. This is something that they don't want to hear that. That's reality, bro. I know because I used to go to the doctor with my uncle, okay? So I know this shit's real. My uncle got sick. They did every test in the world because he was in the military and the police department, so he had good insurance. So he wanted to make sure he was getting diagnosed properly. So doctors would tell him, oh, I don't know what it is. Oh, it might be a, bone disorder. Oh, it's ALS. Oh, it's this, it's that. In the end, they did not know.
They
could not tell him definitively.
Damn, that's outrageous. And for those that don't know, just really quickly here, Andrew, for those that don't know, there's been there's been several, I believe you can say, surveys or studies published about it. But the 9/11 first responders, they included having prostate cancer and leukemia and other illnesses for those that don't know, but it's a large majority of them actually had to suffer these things, sadly. Yeah, and I know guys that, bro, literally 20 years later, no problems, nothing, fine. And then they go for their 21st medical exam or the next year's medical exam, and, oh, you have cancer throughout your blood. What? Yeah, you have leukemia now. Yeah, you have thyroid cancer or leukemia. Yeah,
I mean, bizarre stuff, bro. Guys that were healthy, stayed in shape, stayed fit, and then all of a sudden, boom, now they got this weird, like I just told you, they call it the 9/11, you got the 9/11 disease. We don't know what it is, but all these first responders, or a lot of them that are coming to the doctors, they have the same types of things. They have trouble breathing. They might have trouble with some bones. They got these weird things. And also, my uncle was a world soccer player. He traveled all over the world with the NYPD, which, another odd thing too, played in Italy. Now, 5 Italian soccer players all got, or thought they got, and were treated for ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
My uncle played in Italy, and they thought at one point he had ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease because he had similar symptoms. I don't know if he actually did in the end or didn't. I don't know, but it was a weird thing. He was having the same symptoms as these guys. My theory was, and talking to some people and some doctors, I don't know if they spray the field where they play soccer with chemicals. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't, to preserve the field. Sometimes, I remember when I was a kid playing high school football, I used to see the janitor come out and spray all sorts of white shit on the field. I don't know what it was, but probably wasn't good for your body. So who knows, how he got it. That combined with being down at the Trade Center.
Could have been a lot of things.
Yeah, man. exactly. We don't know. I think it was a combination of things, but I'm doing this podcast for him, honestly, because it needs to be told, bro. These stories need to be out there, man. This is no joke. It's reality. This is something that my family and me and my family, we went through the last few years. It was awful. You know, you're in the family that no one wants to be part of. You don't want to be that type of family where someone in your family is very ill and gets sick and can't walk. You know what I mean? It's awful, bro.
It is.
No one wishes that.
No, not at all. No, you don't wish that on your worst enemy. To go through something like that in life, and yes, you guys were deeply impacted. Throughout, you were impacted that morning and further on. It just like so many other families out there that had to endure this sort of thing. And I'm sure during that time, you were. I'm pretty sure you're quite young during that time on 9/11. How old were you then?
So I was September. So I was 20. Yeah, 21.
So you're 21.
Yeah, 21.
Yes. So I'm sure you remember how everyone was after the event. Everyone was so gung ho to figure out what happened and to go invade another country and to kill an Arab.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was all amped up. I mean, even violence broke out in the streets. People were being attacked. All kinds of shit went down.
It was chaotic, and like I said, at that moment, I knew something wasn't adding up. I just said, this looks too perfect. You know what I mean? So, this is why I say that. Another uncle of mine that passed, who I talked about on your show previously, my Uncle John.
Oh, yes.
My Uncle John, he was in the Navy, okay? I asked him, now, he never told me, he did not talk about this stuff, man. He worked in the Navy, and then he was at Lockheed. So he's like, Andrew, I don't want to get into conspiracies. But late in life, I just said to him, I said, Uncle John, now tell me, you've been to the Pentagon, right? He goes, sure, plenty of times. I said, how many cameras are at the Pentagon? He goes, a few hundred?
Yeah, a few hundred.
In and around it. I said, now,
including the bathrooms.
Yeah, so whatever hit the Pentagon, whatever hit it, I said, wouldn't they have a photo or a still or a video? He goes, yeah, of course. I said, so show the video, case closed, done. That's it, right? Whatever hit it, done. No conspiracy, no nothing. Missile, not missile, plane, just why not show that? And yet they're toying us with the World Trade Center thing. Like it's eye candy, you know what I mean? Like they're taunting us, but yet the Pentagon, oh no, that's classified, man. You can't see that. No, man, that something does not make sense. Something is not adding up. So he said, yeah, that doesn't. He goes, all I can tell you is they have the footage, right? So being practical, there is footage. Why wouldn't you show it? I don't know. Well, Michael, a couple of years after 9/11, this is no accident. I am at a place called Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, and I'm sitting at a table at a comedy show. This gentleman in a suit sits next to me, and I started to get into spiritual stuff, like more UFO stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, not 9/11 conspiracy, because I was just trying to be very practical about it. I wasn't going off the Alex Jones bandwagon.
You were going too crazy.
That stuff was just like, that's like a little too much for me. That was a little like, okay, I don't know about that, but let's just see, man. Let me go with my heart, man, and just figure it out, right? So some dude in a suit comes in, sits next to me. I start talking to the guy. Oh, where you from? He goes, oh, I'm from Washington, D.C. All right, what do you do? He goes, I'm a dentist. I said, really? Where? He goes, across the street from the Pentagon. I go, okay. He's like, what about you? Now, I was a new fireman at this time. I just got on the fire department. So I got on in April 2006. So maybe I was on for a couple months. So I said, oh, I'm a firefighter, New York. He goes, oh, that's great, man, And so I see the emotion and tone in his face change. Now, like I said, I could feel, okay, there's something he's holding on to, man, that he wants to say, but he feels weird. Like when you're around people, sometimes you could tell they're not saying something, but they want to.
You could feel it.
That's the feeling I got.
Yeah.
This is not psychic stuff. This is just, I could see in his face got like white, and he he almost like he felt like he was offending me. So I was like, I said to him, I said, so listen, I just want to ask you, man, what about that day? And he puts his drink down and looks at me, and he goes, honestly, He goes, I treat people from the Pentagon, they're my clients, the people that work there. He goes, and I hear a lot of mixed things, man. It's not good. I go, really? I said, so like some of this, crap out there and inside. And he goes, yeah, stuff like that. I go, oh, man. Now, I didn't want to get into with him, man. He's with his wife or whoever. I'm with my, girlfriend and whatever, man. We're just trying to have a good night. Okay, man, I figured there was more to this, right, than just whatever, right? So I ended up meeting Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer. And I met Dr. Greer in 2011. And I grabbed him on the side one night. And I said, listen, what about 9/11? You know people at the White House, bro. What do you hear? And he said, okay, just like you saw on TV, the commander-in-chief, Cheney, was there, right?
Right.
Because Bush was down with the kids at school. And I remember a guy testifying at the 9/11 trial saying he supposedly said to Cheney, like, we have a report of something headed at the Pentagon. The Navy just called us. Does the call stand to stand down? Meaning, there's something headed towards the Pentagon. Would you like us to take it out or not? And he said, yes, of course the order stays. So meaning, stand down. So that didn't sound right to me, right? Why would you, if something was heading towards you, and the military, the Air Force, the Navy, I'm sure is all around the Pentagon, I would hope, and the Army and whatever else, you have a target heading towards the White House, you could see it, you could take it out. I would hope you would take it out. I hope. But Greer said to me, just like you saw the planes heading into the buildings, he goes, yes, that is what happened. It's no illusion, nothing like that. It did happen how it happened. However, the command was given to stand down. And I go, oh, all right, man, that's a shame. I've heard a lot of things, and we can get into that, of course. But I was hoping that it was something as practical as that, bomb-sniffing dogs and all these things being removed out of the building. I have no intel to that, man. Nothing like that. I could just tell you, I've asked people that were credible or people that were there or things like that, what happened, whatever. These are the people that know people, and this is what they relayed to me. My father, he never had any information like that. I just know one thing. A retired fireman wrote a book. I'll find it. I'll send you the info. He wrote a book, and he said that he dug up the black box or black boxes. I forget if it's one or both. He dug them up. He called on the radio, said, oh, I found, it was identified easily. Said, I found, the black box or whatever it says on it. Boom, the feds came, took it, gone.
Right.
At ground zero on 9/11.
Yeah, that's really common for the feds to show up and take things away. I mean, even with that gentleman, I think it was some sort of a gas station. There is a man by the name of Jose Velasquez, I recall. Mm-hmm. And he was doing something with, he was in charge. He was like a supervisor, I believe, of a gas station. And the feds went in there and took the footage. And I think it's kind of funny that the feds seem to do that a lot. Our government either confiscates video or claims to have lost it, or it was destroyed somehow. I mean, it's a strange loop that, we've gone through for various years now with 9/11 for one, the Pentagon, all the other footage out there that is just missing, the moon landing, Jeffrey Epstein, you could go down the line here.
Yeah, it is very interesting. The same thing with footage, I, once again, trying to be a normal human or practical or whatever.
Sure.
All right. Hey, if you have proof, right, say of UFOs, aliens, bodies, planes crashing into buildings, I would think that if they thought, all right, hey, if we release this is going to cause panic. People are going to flip out. So we're not going to release this yet, or we're going to hold on to it. Okay, I could understand why they wouldn't release something. That I understand. I may not agree with that personally. I don't have a problem seeing the truth for what it is. Being psychic, I know anyway. I don't care. I have my own truth, so you do whatever you want, man. Live in your illusion. But people, I understand, at higher levels or who are in control of governments and people like that, I know their decisions must be very, very
hard.
Challenging.
Very hard. And, here's another thing. I'm glad we're talking about, this part of 9/11, the whole conspiracy angle, because I know it's especially difficult for those out there that lived out in the East Coast and were out there and were personally affected by it, this sort of talk wouldn't have flown, no pun intended, back when 9/11 first happened. The whole sort of conspiracy thing, or even questioning the government at that time, was a big no-no. You'd be seen as like a traitor to some out there when you would just generally try to even talk about perhaps that the government might have been maybe partially responsible for this.
Yeah, and I think with any situation like this, even currently what's going on with COVID and whatever,
Yeah.
Russia, the Ukraine, people are given a bad guy to point at or someone to look at. I mean,
That's
just turn
right.
on the news and they say, all right, it's his fault. Oh, it's Putin's fault. It's not Putin's fault. It's depending on what day of the week. It's crazy. So people, I think, that kind of thinking must have worked, right? It must have worked since the beginning of time. Hey, tell the masses it's this. They'll believe it anyway. And they do, because if it didn't, they wouldn't keep doing what they're doing. So there is a war.
There is.
There is a spiritual war going on. I tell people this when they ask me about what about good evil aliens or bad aliens or demons or angels. I said, listen, I'll tell you this. I know good humans and I know bad humans. Right now, those are the ones I'm concerned about. The things that are out there and whatever else is around us, they don't want to come near us. Why would they? We're doing a great job of just destroying ourselves, and with the way we treat each other, if I was an alien out there in space looking down, oh man, I'd be frightened to land and communicate with any one of us. Because at the drop of a dime, we're turning on a certain news network or whatever, if you're brainwashed, well, today that alien's good, the next day, you're going to be calling the police to lock him up or to kill him or whatever.
Yeah.
The mere fact that all these years, Michael, if UFOs and stuff, if they've been shot down, like at Roswell or things like that, if these things have been, and they have at times, if they've been shot down or tortured or menaced or bothered by humans, the mere fact that they're still showing up, wow, these things must be pretty forgiving and pretty freaking peaceful. Because if they weren't, with the way we treat each others and with the way we treat them, dude, they should have wiped us out ages ago.
Or maybe they already have an understanding that man is essentially an animal still, and we're still, wild. And we would do something like shoot them down or try to, reverse engineer their technology, which I think we must have done to have this sort of boost and jump, this significant jump in technology back in the 1950s. We had all this sort of advanced technology that seemed to just come out of the ether all of a sudden.
Yes.
So, we could go into that sort of a thing as well. But my whole thing is, these entities or aliens, whatever, the grays, I'm starting to believe that these aren't really, they're not organic. I'm starting to believe these are maybe even AI to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
These are like this is like a hard shell that you're seeing, and they're being controlled and sent out here for whatever reason. And it's probably been going on for many years. And if you go by that and look at, early civilization through religion and all this other shit, you could see them depicted throughout time that we definitely were visited by something and probably still are.
Yeah, I mean, and think about this, if we were going to Mars or wherever else and there was another life form there and we were possibly threatened, or to just be on the safe side, even look now, when they go to Mars, what do they send? A probe. Or a rover.
Right.
Or something else. The actual person to go there, you got to be extremely careful. And if a place had a track record for annihilating each other, I hope they wouldn't send a human there,
right.
At least not at first. So
would be a good
idea.
A
lot of times, I have news for people, because people really think that they are communicating with Christ or Jesus or an entity, or, oh my God, I met this, angel from the Bible, and no, you didn't. You met their pet dog.
Yeah, most likely you did not meet who you were told you were meeting.
Yeah. No way, because it doesn't make, same thing. That would not make sense, at least not at first. I don't think at first. You'd want to play it safe. You'd send a probe, or you get a vision or a hologram or something. So Yeah, there's no way that all around all these people and interactions they're actually communicating with the real thing. I don't believe that's possible.
So,
I think you're spot on. It's AI or it's some sort of hologram. Or, Michael, it would not surprise me if we found out one day that the majority of this whole thing, and I'm saying not everything, but the overwhelming majority of all of this phenomena stuff is all human. All. Meaning AI, reverse, whatever stuff they're up to, and they've just been playing us all along because it's a great story, and it doesn't make sense to have the truth revealed. If you look now,
And sadly, this is where we part ways. If you want to hear the full interview, please go to patreon.com/Michael Deacon. See you there.